You're familiar with the BP facility in Maryland that closed down. What did you see? What went wrong there?
We certainly appreciated the fact that they, after purchasing Amoco, bought the SolarX plant up there. And my students and I have toured it at least 3 times in the last 15 years. And that was always a great opportunity. We did see that there were at least a few anomalies of environmental management system potential problems there. Leaks, spills, some smells, and anytime you see any of that, that's sort of a signal that there are some inefficiencies, at least in the environmental management system. Of course, there could be much bigger picture economic reasons for why BP made that disinvestment decision. One is that, of course, they found other places that they could invest for the same purpose and invest in both India and in Mexico for some of the same technologies. Another is that perhaps even though they were in solar photovoltaics and looking at a particular kind of technology, multicrystalline, they didn't have exactly the same thickness of their product as most of the rest of the industry. And so they were sort of kind of one-off or out of the general mainstream of multicrystalline solar photovoltaics manufacturing anyway. I did notice from the different times that we visited that plant an increasing amount of robotization. The last time we visited there, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, while all of the managers, all the technicians, very competent, very enthusiastic about solar photovoltaics, first of all, they often expressed some disenchantment with the amount of investment that BP was making overall. But to be honest, the same people had the same problems with Amoco years before that. Obviously, we all are really, interested in wanting to advance solar photovoltaics as soon as possible and as widely as possible. So there's that. But what we saw was that there were only about a dozen people that we could actually identify besides the technicians and the managers that we were talking to throughout the rest of the plant. It was that roboticized. Now compare that to previous years that we toured there, far more robotics and far fewer people most recently. Comparing that to the BP Tata solar plant outside of Bangalore in India is a huge contrast. In each room there were at least 10 to 12 people at the BP Tata solar plant in India. So obviously there is something going on here regarding labor costs, availability of skilled labor perhaps, and just the amount of automation that is possible even in a highly high-tech area like solar photovoltaics. We were told almost with each tour that one of the main markets for solar PV sold by BP Solar was Japan. And as we all know, Japan has had some rocky both economic and political times in the last decade here. So it's possible that the Japanese market may not have been quite as responsive as BP had projected. And the latest recession, the worldwide recession, and the advancement of solar PV, both in that technology and many other technologies, has improved so much over the past several years, and the latest recession has dropped the price of what any manufacturer, whether it's BP or others, could sell their product for. And so usually most often now the price is about half of what they could have gotten just a few years ago. So you could have, continuing cost factors there. You could have labor being cheaper elsewhere and a drop in revenue, all combining, perhaps with the problems in the environmental management system, combining to make it not such a great investment for at least BP Solar there in Frederick.
One aspect to this is creating these green manufacturing jobs. Another challenge altogether is actually keeping them in place.
Certainly one of the main things to do is to make sure that you're manufacturing the right kinds of green products or involved in green service delivery. And that means having done a really good job of environmental scanning, that is scanning the business environment, locally, nationally, internationally, identifying what kinds of products you want to be making that have a real potential for being marketed, as I said, at all three of these levels, local, national, and international. So an environmental scanning approach and putting time and effort into really making sure that we've done a really good job of identifying the winning technologies and then some of those that might be following it. One of the key features, for instance, of a couple of non-US car manufacturers, the top two, is that they have 2, 3, and 4 technologies deep, ready for different car technologies to come forward and them to capture various kinds of environmental and economic benefits. So you can't just look at the next product or service, but make sure that you've identified a full stream of what might be coming along in the future. One of the ways to do that, of course, is to connect with academics. Myself at George Washington University, but here in the Washington, D.C. area, we have a full consortium of 17 other colleges and universities. And most of what academics do is look back and look ahead, okay? Historical and project. And so identifying which ones can participate and provide you with good information about what's coming next. And then to also connect with organizations like the World Resources Institute, which is just a block away from here, and many other NGOs, same kind of thing. In fact, it was WRI, one of our partners for a number of different projects at GW, that identified this full stream of technologies that some international car companies have ready to go, and is a real factor in their overall short and long-term success. The big factor, of course, in addition to making sure you sort of pick winners for the products and services, is to make sure that you can attract employees at a price that you can afford to pay, that have the skills to, once again, not only produce what you're making today, but are ready and can be trained for producing successful products in the future. One big factor is to kind of widen out the identification of what manufacturing means. It certainly could go upstream into research and development, for instance, and connect to the upstream parts of your business. And your manufacturing operation can also connect to the downstream side of distribution, construction, marketing. Okay, and so to expand that out and make sure that you've got really good connections to the upstream and the downstream, two areas, by the way, where at least Americans in general, the American economy really excels. Research and development and sales, marketing, distribution is another factor, is that sort of you broaden out the idea of what's a manufacturing job. There are many, many people that work for major organizations that connect these different functions in an organization. There are also individuals, boundary spanners, we sometimes call them in academia, that connect with customers and suppliers. Customers on the downstream side, suppliers on the upstream side. Always being in touch with what it is they can do, what they can handle, and identify the, in this case, sustainability features of both your suppliers and your customers. So those are some ways to actually get and keep manufacturing jobs. The really big thing is to make sure that you segment manufacturing into light, medium, and heavy. Okay? And it may be that in the U.S. here, we're not going to be excellent at all three areas. Okay? That we can identify that, for instance, light manufacturing may be more appropriate in some places for the skill level that we have and for the competitive edge that can be developed. Okay? So to segment manufacturing is another way to do it. The really big thing about manufacturing is related to sustainability. It certainly is connected to the four main areas of sustainability: energy, water, waste, and health, okay, and safety. To be excellent at each of those areas, or to at least identify partners that can help you become excellent in each of those areas, gets you cost savings, keeps you out of court. Maybe even if you identify some really unique features and niche markets, can increase your revenue, either price or volume. And so that's another way to actually attract and keep manufacturing jobs.
Dr. Mark Starik with George Washington University, thanks again for taking time with us this morning.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.